Ding dong, the witch is dead. Witch, old witch, the wicked witch. Ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. Hi everybody, it's Mark here, and yes, we have come to everyone's favorite card, the Death card. In going through my collection, I was really surprised to find so many variations and interpretations of this card, artistically, creatively. I guess I didn't really expect that. And this is probably the first card that I've looked at in this series where I pretty much like almost every depiction, even though they do vary quite a lot. So not a lot of complaints in this video, so let's get going and take a look at some of the cards. Now, of course, this is the standard that Pixie did, but in the rest you'll see there's that pale rider on a horse and the holy man and these people greeting don't show up that often in other decks. So let's get going. What we see mostly is the man with, or the woman, the skeleton, with the scythe. And that is probably the most common depiction. But as I said, there are a lot of variations along the way. So I do like this. I do like the whole scythe skeletal concept, and it works very well. This is the Jean Noblet. It's a Marseille deck. One of my favorite decks is the Morgan Greer, and I do love this depiction. Again, we're here with the scythe, but it's sort of, I see this white rose as he's sort of cutting off the fool's white rose. You know, we often see the fool carrying a rose. And what I love is the sunrise, or is it a sunset, coloration in the background. Just that transition of day to night. And perhaps this vulture flying in from the background. Just everything about this card I really, really like. Tarot of the Old Path does a nice job. To take the sting out, they call it the close instead of death. And I really like this sort of very naturey, outdoorsy vibe, because death is natural. And I have always said we shouldn't be afraid of the death card, because the minute you're born, you start to die. The process begins. So I do like this depiction of the card. In the Dreaming Way, we've got a Wednesday Addams sort of type with her scythe, and I like it. Not much going on, but I kind of like the sort of gentility of the young woman. Kind of softens the blow a little bit. The Cosmic Tarot, pretty classic with the scythe. Excuse me, I'm allergic to death. And but he's standing there. He's not wielding it. The time will come. I like that there is a clock here sort of sinking into the ground. I'm not quite sure what that's saying. Is that your time will come? Or that time stops when you stop, or your time stops. But there's a number of things going on, like someone uncrowned and a soldier killed in battle. Basically, it's the same vibe as death comes to everyone, like we see with all the figures on Pixie's card. I like Anna Kay's death card with the scythe, because obviously there's an allure to this character. He's kind of sexy, and he's welcoming you. So again, it softens the blow when that scythe descends on your head or on your neck. So I like that one. Probably close to my favorite scythe death card is this one from the Tarot d'Ozarks. I just love the art style of the deck. It's a Marseille deck, but I just find the paintings and the coloration just gorgeous. This caramel color in the background you don't often see on a death card. And these little bits of acid green, like just the little bits of life still clinging to the skeleton. I just really enjoy this. We've got some, again, maybe some vultures flying in the background as well. So now we're going to go a little bit off the rails and look at many of the depictions that move away from what we are used to seeing. In the Sassarite Beetle here, very beautiful image. This sort of lovely young woman, very calm, just with this skeletal sort of visage coming off to the side, with a bit of growth coming out of that as well. So there's just lots to think about when you look at that card, and there's certainly nothing frightening about it. Again, it has a kind of a calm sensibility to it. The Fountain Tarot, I just like kind of the portrait it creates. It's just this very dark night with this sort of nightmare horse coming out with this sort of eye shining in the dark, coming for you. So here we've got the pale rider, but no actual rider. This is just the horse coming on its own. And there's sort of an entry way here, a gateway to the dark, created by these trees. The Light Seers Tarot, very unusual. I mean, I look at it, and I like it, and I just think that's really nice. And I get this is the Grim Reaper, but they're in scarlet for some reason. I'm not sure why I'm seeing this star shining in a forest through the sort of face area. There seems to be a time-space warp going on here. I'm really not sure what the artist is intending. And yeah, this kind of almost forms a scythe. This netting, this warp, but somehow it gets the feeling across, and again, not too terrifying. This one is from the Cosmic Tribe. Very unusual to see all this fire going on. Maybe it's got a phoenix-y kind of situation happening. There's a bird flying out of the hole in the stomach. But I do have to admit, when I look at this card comes up, I think it's the Devil card until I look at the title. So an unusual depiction there. This is the Slow Tarot, and it's probably the creepiest of all my death cards, because this is actually a child's skeleton. And that's just disturbing to think about and look at. Prisma Visions, we've just got a close-up of that white rose and a skeletal hand. So that's fine. Doesn't really excite me, but gets the point across. Fifth Spirit is an interesting take, because we saw in the Tarot of the Old Path that we had a baby and a skeleton. Well, now we have the baby and the skeleton, but we get all the sort of bits of life in between stages of life. So I do like that. She stuck Margaret Atwood on the card for some reason. That's a very famous Canadian authoress. I'm sure you've heard of her. And I'm not sure why, although she is a Scorpio in real life, and it is a Scorpio card, as we can see here. So maybe that's just honoring her in some way. Now, this one is, now what's the name of this deck? I forget the name of the deck. Oh, it's a person's name. It'll come to me. I'll put it in the notes later. It's a deck that really softens all the hard cards. So this is like a transition. I guess they're stepping out of a Connolly Tarot. That's it. They're stepping out of a crypt, and I guess they're being reborn or coming back to life in some way. We still have sort of that sun between the two towers in the background, which we know from Pixie's card. It's a little too soft for me, and completely clothed, not corpsey at all. So it's fine, but a little too gentle. The Stretch Tarot just have a skull and some beautiful flowers and a black background, and it just gets the point across nicely. This is the Numinous Tarot, And I just think this is a beautiful card. I don't know if it immediately says death, but I kind of see, like, you know, once you've passed the veil, your eyes open, more eyes open. You see more than you saw before. And this just looks like someone who perhaps is in a casket and are being honored with all these flowers and things. They've put a pentacle on here for some reason. Maybe just you've left matter, you've left your body. So it doesn't scream death, but I really like it. And again, it feels gentle, and that death is being honored in some way. This is Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot. I quite like it. Death on a seahorse, so there's a nod to Pixie. And I just kind of like this drowned sailor down here. And it just somehow it just makes me smile for a death card. This is the... okay, I'm losing my mind. What is the name of this one? See, I don't use these decks often enough. I have my favorite decks. It's the Efflorescent Tarot. Okay, there you go. It is a nod to Pixie's death card, but now we just have one image. But I do kind of like the way they just made death a shadow, just sort of coming in that will soon overtake this person and everything else in its path. Divine Diversity. I love this image with the child, again, from Pixie's figure. But now they're just sort of nodding to each other. And again, it's that, you know, every child will eventually meet death. We're back to the scythe. But there's just a lovely, gentle quality to this and an acknowledgement that I really, really like. The Urban Tarot is probably the one that I like the least. The Urban Tarot is a very thought-y deck, and I don't have a problem with that. And it is very well thought out, but it's a very grounded in reality deck. So this is like meant to be a heart transplant. So the surgeon is removing this heart so he can make somebody else live again. So I get all that. Here we have a clock that stopped again, just like in the Cosmic Tarot. But it's just a bit too, you know, I don't know. There's nothing mystical about it. It's just too pragmatic for me. The Voyager Tarot, I really like this. This is apparently like a New Guinea death mask or spirit mask of some sort. It's just this person that looks like they might be in mourning sitting over here. There's a snake's head shedding its skin down here. And I just like the vibe of it. It's a little spooky, but no skeletons, no scythes, none of the usual. So I really like dancing skeletons, and so this is the, well, okay, here we go again. I shouldn't do videos in the late day. Oh, you know this. This is the, not Santa Fe Tarot. Please help me with this. In any case, here we have a dancing skeleton, very happy, and I like that energy that it's going into the light. I think this is the first time we've seen a death card going into the light. We've seen the sun in the background, but we haven't seen Terre de Sainte Croix. Thank you, back in my mind. We've seen the sun in the background, or the moon, or something rising or setting, but this is really that, you know, experience of going into the light that we hear often described, and yet somehow it hasn't shown up in the death card very often. Along the same lines, I like Thoth, death. He seems to be very active, the skeleton, doing a little dance, sending off spirits, or, you know, into the spirit world. So I do enjoy that. And we have a scorpion on the card because this is the Scorpio card, as we see here. And I just like the energy that's in the card. But my favorite death card of all, surprisingly, came from the Everyday Witch. And it's this tiny little card. Sorry if it's not focused. And I just love this death in a mask with this sword about to cut this fraying rope. So it just says to me that the rope's going to go even if he doesn't cut it. It's fraying. It's time. And he's just going to help it along, you know. We have a little cat down here, caught a mouse, and that's probably not going to go well for the mouse. But the best thing about the card is the one door closing and another door opening. So I love all that. So there you go. There's the death card, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.